All right, so you guys all know we talk Bills and Sabres here on the 716 Sports Podcast, but we do a few other things. We got a few play-by-play assignments and all that good stuff that we do. And on Saturday, I was doing one of our play-by-play assignments for the University of Buffalo hockey team, and we were having some issues with the stream. So I call into Hockey TV to talk to them about it. So I tell them my name is Mike Babcock. I'm at the University of Buffalo hockey game trying to do the stream, and it's not coming up. And the guy just on the other end just immediately starts busting out laughing. Just starts laughing for about 2 minutes. He's like, "Wait, you said your name is what? Mike Babcock?" I'm like, "Yep, Mike Babcock. I'm not the coach." "Oh, you're not?" "Nope, not the coach. I'm also not related to him." "Oh, you're not?" "Oh, man." And then I looked it up, and they're based out of Mississauga, so I can now I understand why the whole thing about that. But that was slightly amusing for having some technical difficulties that day. But we finally got everything all straightened out and good to go. But I got a laugh and gave somebody a good laugh in the process.
Could have went with it and pulled all the strings.
Well, it's me, Mike Babcock, and we got Mitch in, and we're a little disappointed in Austin right now, but we're gonna figure it out.
Basically.
That's good.
Thank you.
I
didn't know Mike Babcock was calling in tonight.
Well, yeah,
Whoa.
You never know who you're going to get calling where.
Well, a couple
Biggest
years
pull since Larson.
we had those. Yeah, we had a couple of the Sabres call in a couple years ago, but they're kind of busy right now.
Didn't Tage call in? The poor guy got relegated back to the AHL again.
Tage called in, and there was one other one.
It was just Larson and Thompson.
Yeah.
Tage ruined the whole segment.
Larson was very happy to be here. Tage was.
God damn it, Tage.
He was mad.
Tage was dark.
Tage does not have a good day.
Tage was dark, seemed directionless, perhaps was projecting his worldview. Yeah, it's disappointing, but that's okay.
716 Sports Podcast, welcome back. It's good to be back. Missed you guys last week. And I immediately come back to talk about yesterday's football game, as what I've been informed that four-quarter game was. We had
quarters of violence.
We had a very high water mark, I feel like, an excitement on this podcast for the weeks 2 and 3 post game. We're like, all right, this is probably the most positive we've ever been doing these shows. Let's bring it back down to where we usually are here, guys. Let's bring it back down to reality, because yesterday's game, ultimately a close game, a hard-fought game, but yet again, Buffalo Bills are unable to defeat the New England Patriots in a game that felt very much there for the taking for the entirety of it. What do we make of this game?
The Patriots didn't beat the Bills. The Bills beat themselves.
Yeah, I like that. The defense is good. Take that away.
That defense is legit.
Tell you what, if anything, the game yesterday made me feel more comfortable with the rest of the season, because that defense just showed that they're the real deal.
Yeah, defense top 5 in the league once again. They're going to keep They're going to keep the team in basically any game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the offense really struggled yesterday against also a top 5 defense, but the first real one after 3 not quite as good. The Jets are decent enough, but we knew the Giants and the Bengals weren't great shakes.
But the thing is that a lot of the things New England's defense was great, but Allen just made there were a lot of stupid plays, and the offensive line just played terribly, especially at tackle.
I'm not sure if the defense played that great or if Allen played right into their hand, to be honest with you.
I think it was both.
I think that's right, because there was good plays. They read a couple plays.
Gore had over 100 yards rushing, and I don't even think he got to 20 carries.
I think that's right.
I mean, Gore was just gashing that defense, and granted, the Patriots didn't have Hightower, but still, when it was on the ground, Gore was getting a lot. And again, there was next to nothing out of Yeldon.
Was there any promise? I don't mean to dive right into the hottest topic. Was there promise of what Allen showed in the third quarter? Because he made another really dumb pass that got picked off, but that scripted drive out of the locker room to start the third quarter, he was on time and he was delivering the ball.
It was scripted,
and
though.
100%. But, I mean, I'm not trying to lick this guy's boots by any stretch. He was awful yesterday. But, we were talking in the Slack chat, Justin, and I was defending him, saying it's a big show, and he's got a little deer in the headlights look, and that concerned you, and rightfully so, Justin. You weren't wrong to be like, this kid's got to figure it out. But maybe I was looking for the silver lining. I think he might have figured it out a little bit in the second half, and a lot of people have said that if he's in that final drive, we might be talking about a different thing today, a different outcome today, if Allen plays that final drive instead of Barkley.
Well, 2 years ago, there was an article written about Tyrod Taylor talking about him as the ultimate Rorschach test in football. What do you see when you look at him? Do you see somebody that manages the game or somebody that plays the game smart? Do you see someone that's willing to take chances at a minimum to keep their team in games, or do you see somebody that's not willing to take chances and ultimately costs their team? Pretty well written article. Now we've gone in the complete opposite direction, and Allen has many different strengths and weaknesses. The ability to make certain throws that very few people can, especially on the run, is there. We joke about it, but he definitely has a strong arm. The decision making when he makes a mistake, it's not just a run of the mill mistake. It is oftentimes near disaster or disaster for the Bills, and
it is spectacularly bad.
Not only the interceptions, but the sacks where they lost the chance to kick a field goal. They got pushed back, so they had to kick a longer field goal, the one that was missed. Lots and lots of plays. I don't know. Yes, that was a good drive. I have no idea, because you cannot predict Josh Allen seemingly on a drive-to-drive basis of what is going to happen. You can't predict
what's going to happen.
So the ardent Allen defenders will say that the Bills would have won that game with him in there. The ardent Allen detractors will say there's no chance and the team had a better shot with Barkley. The answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. It certainly stands to reason that they would have been in good position going in on that drive before he got hit in the head. But I don't know, because on the next play, he could have ran a designed run and scored a touchdown, or he could have thrown a pick six interception and it goes back. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Barkley goes right in that field, and there was that beautiful touch pass down the right sideline to Brown that gets them right down into the red zone too. And
that was the only throw he made.
Yeah, but I have no reason to believe that Josh Allen was going to make that pass yesterday, because he had that exact same play open probably 7 to 10 times, and every single time it sailed over the head of the receiver by 5 to 10 yards.
I believe there was a 13-yard slant to Brown in the third quarter, and that was the first on time, on rhythm throw that was completed for the Bills that day. Basically, where the pressure was minimal, the throw was made, and the catch was made.
Josh Allen doesn't make many throws on time and in rhythm at all. He's got tons of time in the pocket, and he scrambles outside the pocket. Not many of his throws are like that. Matt Barkley comes in, the offense is suddenly on time. So I'm saying
it looked on time until everybody had a drop on that one drive.
And those were all catchable. They were all catchable.
Yeah, no,
borderline,
but you want an NFL.
Yep. The hardest one was,
even if they only catch half of them, it hit all of them in the hands.
The toughest one was probably Beasley's. But Zay Jones was literally underneath the ball.
And Brown's was relatively there too. Yeah. Yes, Beasley's was a little bit more challenging, but
I don't think I think 99 times out of 100 nobody catches the one that was thrown to Beasley.
And that's fine. Agree. Then catch the two before that then.
Right. The point is that Barkley is not a starter for a reason.
Right.
It's not that he doesn't have good time. He reads the field well. He's got a good head, but he's not going to be a guy who's got incredibly accurate passing skills. No. If he was, he would probably be a starter somewhere right now.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're going to see Matt Barkley yesterday more often than you're going to see the Matt Barkley that went on the field and kind of shocked the Jets last season by how accurate and great he was throwing the ball downfield.
But, Jeff, he played so well in the preseason.
I know. He was just a world beater. Nathan Peterman, also a great preseason quarterback.
Can Dable,
maybe the best.
Can Dable or anyone snap Allen out of these decisions, or is that just going to be his bugaboo for his whole career? Because Dable's on the sideline absolutely peeling paint off the bench next to Josh Allen.
All his decisions are basically him depending on his strong arm.
Or his thinking that he has to make a play individually.
Right, that's because my thought is on all three of the picks, throw it to the fucking moon. Chuck it into the sixth row. You know what you can't do? Throw it off your back foot in the field of play.
He's not there yet.
Fire it to the sun and just don't
he's used to
throw the pick.
He's used to getting him out of trouble. And in college, those throws will probably get completed. But the first pick in college, the safety does not get there with
Correct.
Josh Allen's arm strength.
Sure.
In the NFL, it does.
Because
Throw it to
Brown
them,
was
they're
open
mountains.
until the safety got there.
So again, it's him relying on his strong arm.
So McCourty that came over?
reverting back to his old shit just because he's got a strong arm. It's the thing that gets him in trouble most
And the
of the
second
time.
and the second interception, he was throwing while backpedaling and threw it about 3 yards short of Zay
the
Jones.
mechanics were rough yesterday.
Can
There were
Dable just
several
pound it
bad-
into his head, though? Can Dable just pound it into his head, throw it out of bounds? Can that be driven through his skull? I don't know the answer. None of us do. But
No.
can that be driven into his head?
If he's not understanding that at this point, it's highly doubtful that he will ever truly understand that.
Maybe
I don't
the
know.
best lesson he could get in that is yesterday. Sorry, Bill. Maybe that's the best lesson that he could get in this was 3 picks yesterday.
Yeah, and hopefully he can remember him after the concussion. We can talk about that in a little bit here too. But what a brutal shot, and one that's not even going to be it was
Disciplined.
reviewed. No discipline on it.
That's fucked up.
It is. It's absolutely crazy. Different case. I know the reputation. Vontez Burfict basically did the same thing, and he's sitting for the rest of the year. So whatever.
No, that wasn't basically the same thing. That Burfict was a scud
Barnett's were a
missile.
whole different kind of ball game, even in the scheme of headshots.
He was voted as a captain.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
Very
the
cool.
fact that the Raiders would allow a man with that kind of reputation to be a captain of their football team says more about the coaching staff than it does about
The
Burfict.
same personnel
Football
just signed Antonio Brown.
Yep, and Reggie
Traded for Antonio Brown,
Incognito.
sorry.
It's almost like they don't make sound decisions over there. I
rumor
digress.
has it.
No, I don't think Allen's changing this year. I think it's something that you can try in the off season, but you're not working on. Are you working on footwork? Are you working on decision making and practices in the regular season? Not as much as you're just trying to get the plays in. You're trying to
During individual time,
perfect
you
the
are.
playbook. I know, but that's more unstructured. I have
No, during practice,
You're
you're
saying
not
during
just
position by position?
Or during position practice, you're working on stuff
Do
like
you
that.
think Josh Allen's going to fix it this year?
No,
Okay, so
I don't.
I
think at this point, a lot of what he does, he's stuck in.
it's
mentally
very hard for a quarterback to change. And he was trying to be Ben Roethlisberger yesterday, extending plays. And look, if he's zinging him down the field 33 yards, thrown against his body, and John Brown's coming down with him, we're not complaining about him. But they're not accurate throws. They're not even throws that are really catchable for the wideouts.
Low
In a lot of
percentage.
right, and in a lot of cases, you have to be able to make your receiver, in any throw that wasn't to Zay Jones, didn't feel like the receiver really could make a play on it. So this is kind of who he is, and this is what people that were against the Josh Allen pick, this is what we were talking about. The great plays are going to be overshadowed. Right now, he is Blake Bortles with a stronger arm. Is that what you want? Because that's what you got right now. I'm not saying that he couldn't be, but I don't know what the best case scenario is. Maybe he can get to the point where, he's like the gunslinger Brett Favre, and you're just going to have to take the good with the bad, but the good constantly is outweighing the bad. Right now, it's about 50-50, and that's really dangerous to try and win football
I actually
games
think that's what the thought with Allen is that he's going to be kind of a Brett Favre mentality, at least, even if he doesn't. Even if he's not a Hall of Famer by any stretch like Favre is, he's going to be that gunslinger who's going to get it done more often than not.
Well, the problem with being that kind of quarterback is if you're making the kind of plays that like Patrick Mahomes is trying to make, but you don't have the kind of arm strength that Mahomes has, what you're going to end up with is a bunch of floaters into double coverage. And I don't know that you can ever count on Josh Allen really being over his need to try to salvage plays. What you can hope that he learns at some point here, and hopefully sooner than later, is that there are times to take chances and there are times to not take chances.
Great point.
That interception that he
And you
makes down
have
the
to
right
recognize it.
sideline is a first down. You do not need to force anything in that situation. Or knowing where you are on the field, too. That sack that he takes that pushes the one field goal out of range and one field goal back. It's a different situation. If you need to get 7 yards to make a field goal, who cares if you lose 8 more yards? You're trying to do something.
Right.
If you're in field goal range and you're backtracking 12 yards, that's a whole different
it's that
thing.
area
learning
between the
what to
30
do.
and the 40 where you cannot afford to take
Right.
11 yards
Just
long.
ask the
sometimes.
Atlanta
Situational awareness
Falcons.
is non-existent yet.
What did I say in our Slack chat yesterday?
I think part of it, this dude got caught up so much in the hype of the game throughout the week.
Oh, he's deer in the headlights for sure.
Like, I wouldn't say deer in the headlights. He just caught it in the hype, and he was trying to outplay Brady in his house, in his own barn.
He
and
kind of still did.
And
Yeah.
you seen but he did in a sense, but you seen him pushing the ball downfield more than have all season, and there were plays underneath that were open that he just wasn't taking. He was trying to just, I think he was trying to just outplay Brady in a sense he did. But I just think that he's gonna be good. You got to be patient with the guy. He's got to be with a team that's gonna be patient with him for 3 full seasons.
Yeah, he hasn't even got 16 games under his belt
be
yet.
the
Well, he's
one
got
that
16
learns
games
by
now.
mistakes.
I thought he was 8-7.
Like,
Well, he had
the
a
thing
partial
is,
game.
Yeah, he had that partial game against Baltimore.
in a world now where it's not a patient NFL or wants to win now,
Right.
He should be worried.
I
'cause
mean-
the Bills have a championship caliber defense right now.
Yeah.
And if he's not getting the job done, I don't think they're gonna be afraid to pull the trigger on him.
You know, and you talk about being patient. You know who had their career day yesterday? Jameis Winston. You know who right now is the only quarterback who started every game for his team and hasn't had a turnover? Marcus Mariota. You know, two guys that have essentially been thrown on the scrap heap, or certainly are thought of as not living up to the billing. Now, 1 week, but it is funny to think about those two guys who, at least to me, are forever paired in my head when I think about those two guys going 1-2 in 2015 and trying to turn around franchises and not really being able to get there yet so far. You know, to see that's your hope, is that guys, you know, Mariota had a major turnover issues. Jameis Winston, poor decision making. At least for 1 week, they were able to play outside of themselves and be better. You know, so that's your hope that maybe there can be something there.
It's funny. 2 weeks ago, we're sitting in this room talking about 2 throws Allen makes. Like, there's only 3 guys in the league that can make that throw.
'Cause it's
And now we're
true.
like, Josh Allen.
It is true, but
can be
only
both.
how many guys are throwing off their back
Yeah.
foot and throwing
But
it up
that's-
for grabs?
So you-
Like they're playing 500.
I think we get at Josh Allen. Like he's Josh Allen, but like every 25th row, he's like, oh my god, this guy's got something. You know what I mean? But it's you only get every 25.
Well, if he
30
didn't have
throws.
those 4% of throws, he wouldn't have been a first-round draft pick. The fact
Right,
is that
that
people
was-
think they can draw that
It was
4%
the
out into his overall
potential.
play.
Exactly. It was the potential and what could be if you can get him on the right path. And I'm not saying, like, I do think Josh Allen, he appears to be coachable, because in those now seemingly weekly blow-ups between him and Dable, he's not ignoring what Dable's saying. He's sitting there. He's, you know, you see him over on the sideline. He's not moping. He's trying to figure all this stuff out. And you can kind of see the wheels turning in real time for him, trying to figure it out. But, I mean, he was, you know, that as good as he was in that Giants game, and I think that Giants game was his best, maybe of his career, certainly of the season so far, it was the complete opposite. I mean, that felt like, you know, the game that first half felt like the Chargers game all over again. I mean, it was
average
really
quarterback play
poor.
gives the Bills the lead in the first half. Average
Absolutely.
QB play gives them the lead in the first half.
Right.
Average QB game play wins that game by 2 scores.
I mean, the defense.
I don't know, because Brady down 7. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if the Pats were down 7 in
But
the
why
fourth,
is Brady going to play different down 7 than he
I mean,
is
they were
the whole
they
game?
weren't
but you know
up
what
2
I mean.
scores the whole game. I think the Bills defense
That game
had
was
them
never a
absolutely locked
blowout.
down.
no.
I mean, what was it, 13-0 at one point? That was it.
It was, but
Maybe
that's
it's just
off a
me
lot.
being a
Slap
Bills
back.
fan saying the Pats would have found a way, but
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't subscribe to
No.
teams playing
Differently.
like that.
No, I
Yeah, I
know.
just don't. I don't.
There
believe
was
that.
the Pats never took their foot off the gas yesterday. They never got the car started.
they were trying to
offensively.
get
They
the
had
clutch.
that one
Brady's
really nice
worst
pass.
game since 2006.
Yeah, it's the first time Bills have
pre-Randy
forced
Moss
7
era.
3 and outs in a long time to anyone.
I told you guys right away. I said even before the game last week, I'm like, even if they lose, I'm not going to be mad. Like, and I'm not. We're all level headed. Nobody here is ready to blow anything up. No matter what the outcome was yesterday, outside of beating them, it's the Pats. So you kind of. But what I will say, and this is like, I didn't do this to be dramatic. I did not listen to 1 minute of sports talk today. I did not watch any like NFL Live or any like. And normally Mondays, that's what I do. And it's not because the Bills lost. I just don't want to hear about the Patriots at all. Like, I'm going to throw up in my mouth because, in part because they should have beaten them, but in part because I'm just tired of the Pats. It seems
Yeah.
like every fucking time they play, because you know what you could do? You could probably listen to the post game of that Monday night game last year, and it probably sounds eerily similar to this year because the defense played outstanding on Monday night. And outside for a pick 6 at the end of the game, it was like a 6-point game or something.
Another game with a backup quarterback.
23 to
forced in.
10 or something. I don't know. But I said to one of my friends today, he's like, the defense looked great. I'm like, they lost. I'm like, go beat Tennessee next week. I don't want the feel good story. The Pats beat him again. And I just don't want to talk about it. Like, maybe I am mad about yesterday, but I'm not like livid at the result. I'm just tired of the fucking
I
Patriots.
mean, the result is certainly exacerbated by the fact that you end up losing to the team that has dominated you
Yeah.
for the last 15 years.
31-3 now.
It
or
doesn't
whatever
feel
the
nearly
league
as
is.
bad yesterday if we lose to the Seahawks like that.
Sure.
We're mad about it, but it's like, oh, well, good team came in here and we almost had them.
I think you nailed
But
it.
because it's Tom Brady and because of the Patriots and because we so desperately want to finally show we can compete with the Patriots in the division, it makes it so much worse
And
that you
they-
had that game in your reach
Right.
and just couldn't take that
And they
one more
did.
step.
They competed with the Patriots yesterday.
Sure.
And it's not like, and like I said, it's not like the Patriot. It makes it worse that it's not that the Patriots actually beat the Bills. It's the Bills beat themselves more.
Like we're watching Monday Night Football. The Monday Night Football game last year against the Patriots. Again, Tom Brady had one of his worst performances, and they win. What was it, 21-6? They win. The Bills' offense
Was that when they
stalls out
started
again.
like all these odd plays? Just
Yeah, they were running Wildcat. They were just like screw it because they were back down to
Derek Anderson and Matt Bart.
Derek Anderson started the game. Barkley was hurt. So I believe it was Derek Anderson that was the starter for that. Josh Allen was hurt in the middle of that, and then Barkley got hurt or had not been
No,
signed
Barkley
yet.
wasn't here yet.
Yeah, he hadn't been signed yet.
Because
And then they
So
would
they
just
were
direct
just-
snap with McCoy.
They were just
and-
running gadget plays, running Wildcat, just anything. Trying
which
to
for a
just
while
figure
was
out-
fun to watch.
It was a thing.
and New England's offense did
That's-
not dominate
right.
by any stretch.
So that's the issue right now. And if you're a defensive player, I don't know how you're not frustrated out of your mind right now because it certainly feels like you've given the team opportunities to win. And look, the team's 3-1. They're alone. They're the only 3-1 team in the
It's not a
AFC
division
right
leader.
now. That's not a division leader. I mean, they're in very good shape. Their game next week it takes on great importance now because you have a huge lead and a tiebreaker over a potential wild card team. Everybody in the AFC South is 2-2. This is your only crack at one of those teams this year. Knock one of them out, or kind of give them a good
Hobble
blow
them.
early, and do it in their place, and you got a chance. But you're going to have to. We were talking about it before we started hitting record. You're going to have to win this game 13-10, and that is a risky proposition to keep trying to win. I don't know if you can get to 20 points right now with the way the offense is looking, and if the offense is set. We'll see if Barkley gets a full week of reps. I'm not expecting Josh Allen to be back, though.
I do think Devin Singletary will play.
They were talking about him possibly being ready for the game yesterday, so he would certainly
I do think that there's three things. Well, let's talk about one of them now. Do you think that if Devin Singletary was in the game, that changes the complexion of the game for the Bills?
it changes the play calling. I don't know if it changes the complexion. Gore did. That is as much as you can possibly ask out of Frank Gore. So the play calling is different because you're running a lot more passing. You're running a lot more outside with Devin Singletary. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah, Yeldon's not exactly a pure running back. He's a good receiving back and a good blocking back, but he's not a between the tackles.
And he had a few
runner.
catches yesterday. He was fine, but
Yeah,
I
he
think
had 4
Singletary's
catches.
top end speed kind of changes things a little bit.
I love that Frank Gore's 80-yard run put him right at 15,000 yards. So did
Did
pretty
CBS. Boy, we got this graph
Good.
ready to go.
That's good. I
Good
liked
for
it.
Frank Gore, man.
Amazing.
It really is incredible, and I still think the signing was dumb, but at least yesterday he looked pretty good.
I think though if Barkley starts next week, I think the passing game was more consistent. But I think where they're really going to lack is the Josh Allen skill set, because I think Josh Allen makes that offensive line better because he buys himself a little more time with his size and his legs, and that's where you saw Barkley.
Yeah,
really
Barkley struggled
at
because
end
the
of
pocket
game.
broke down. And
The pocket breaks down a
Yep.
lot. This offensive line is not great at pass block.
See those grades from
They were not good.
No.
Cody Ford was. There's like
What's going
replacement
on?
level, and there's whatever he was.
Boy, everybody was so fired up about him too. And
Cody Ford at guard,
he's
not Cody
4
Ford at right
days, he's
tackle.
Yeah.
4 games in, but man, he
But they-
is getting destroyed.
But they
out
need
there.
somebody else that they can plug in. They need a third tackle that they can play if they want to move him to guard.
They need something. I don't know what it is, but they need something.
But then again, Dawkins looked like crap again.
Yep.
It
was terrible.
Nobody.
Naseki,
They could just
other
let
than a couple plays, Naseki was all right.
Just let Lee Smith play tackle.
Yeah.
Let's put him on the field for 100% of the offensive snaps instead of whatever.
Oh, please,
Hopefully
no.
Croft is back soon, and we want to see him nearly as much.
Brutal.
What if Croft?
Why the fuck was Lee Smith signed again?
To
'Cause he's
block
a good
and take
blocking tight
penalties.
end.
And take penalties.
Lee
That's it.
Smith is the Zemgus Gergensen of the Buffalo Bills. Like, why is he here? What does he do and why is he here?
He doesn't catch passes.
He brings that Raiders mentality back to the Bills.
Can we talk about we're talking about the Sabres and Bills and it kind of overlaps. Can we talk about, we're talking if Josh Allen will play on Sunday or not. And obviously he got his bell rung. He did get up and run off the field himself. But we're in a place where we want to talk about protecting players, and obviously that hit was awful and they're not going to protect him. But on the other side of that, why is it even possible for Josh Allen to play on Sunday? And here's my point. Do you guys know the NHL's policy on a concussion and when you are allowed to play again? Does anyone know what it is?
Nope.
1 week symptom free.
1 week symptom free. Okay.
Correct. So you could, it's not 7 days symptom free, because if you feel great for 3 days and on day 4 you have a headache again, that resets the clock and you need to be symptom free for 1 week. And I mean, that's wise to me because it's telling me that you're taking care of their head, and we're learning more on the other side of CTE that you can regenerate brain health if you take care of yourself and do things the right way. Merrill Hodge was actually talking to Eric Wood on his podcast about it, that there's studies that show, sitting in a quiet room for an hour a day after a concussion can help you. It helps restore cognitive thinking, and you can combat concussion, the damage that concussions do. So in the NHL, you have to be symptom free for 1 week in order to be able to play again. What's the NFL's policy? It's supposed to be leading edge on the, protecting the head and whatnot. If Josh Allen wakes up Sunday morning and says he can play, is he in the game? Is that what? I don't know.
I mean, there's steps he has to do and go through now. They're at least pretending to have much more of a protocol in place. The fact that he is still in the protocol, or stage 1 of the protocol as of today, it makes it very difficult for him to get cleared in time. Not impossible, but very difficult for him to meet all the thresholds to play on.
Yeah, it leans towards him not playing, and then when you factor in a bye week after that, I think the smart decision is to not play him.
The fact that they even let you go to the tent to be evaluated to even go back into the game is kind of ridiculous to me. That dude was visibly out cold for about 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go see if he can play again.
That's a good point.
He got knocked.
But I mean,
how many fingers? Tuesday. All right.
But you think about what, in 2003, he probably does go back in there.
2003.
100%. He misses,
4 years
he misses
ago.
one play.
Who was it? Was it Case Keenum? The offensive lineman picks him up and stands him on his feet.
Well, that
he's pats him on the butt, and he goes and runs the next play.
That was a miss.
There's the old Byron Leftwich tearing his leg and getting carried by his offensive lineman down the field at Marshall.
The NFL is trying to be leading and all this, but they're so far behind. There's a controversial thing that goes on in the UFC is testosterone replacement. That's known to be really helpful with concussions and fighting against CTE. But then you can't be putting testosterone in your body like that in the NFL. And also CBD oil. And anything CBD. You can't do anything with that shit in the NFL. They got to fix that. But NFL's so far behind everything. They're still part of this old boys club. I'm a bunch of old men. It's got to change.
Well, they don't. Yeah, they're not paying attention to any of those, and they still, it's you can't expect the NFL. It is a slow moving organization. It's the slowest moving organization, really, of the big four.
But it's almost like its own government. It's got so many politics involved in it. They have just so many deals with pharmaceutical companies. Which is why they're obviously not going to CBD and all this, marijuana treatment. It's like.
I mean,
but Pfizer's little blue pills aren't helping for concussions.
Gronk was up there 3 weeks ago talking about how he couldn't stand, and you saw the hit that he said injured him in the Super Bowl. It was on the surface it was a basic looking hit, and then the guy can't sleep for more than an hour for a month straight, and he's in such pain. And then he takes CBD and seems to think that it's helping. And even if there's a placebo effect with that, just let the guys just do whatever they need.
Yeah, Eric Wood owns a company too.
There was the Calvin Johnson
Green
interview
Remedies
that came out.
Plug.
Calvin Johnson was talking recently about how he was going back. He was smoking weed after every single game.
You see that?
His fingers are bent in 18 different ways, and that's the only way he was getting through. I mean, we can dwell on this for a moment. I think it's an interesting topic.
Smoke pot, NFL players.
Well, just on top of it, the NFL's inability to correctly navigate the issue of head injuries. I think there were 3 major hits this week that drew a lot of attention for contact to the head in the order that they occurred. It was Derek Barnett on Jamal Williams in the Thursday night game. Well after the play, Williams stretched it off the field. That's terrible. Then you have Vontaze Burfict on Jack Doyle. Similar, straight cruise missile head into Jack Doyle. Doyle thankfully seems to be okay. Burfict gets ejected from the game by whatever kind of eagle eye review they have. They toss him. They're going to try to suspend him for the year because he's a repeat offender. And then you have the hit that Josh Allen took, which knocks him out of the game, draws a penalty, not an ejection, gets wiped out by a holding penalty. Now, if you really are a league that cares about hits to the head, maybe you don't make a holding penalty and a direct contact to the head of a quarterback penalty, wipe out. I know that's the rule. The referee called it correctly.
Sure.
But
there was conversation that, and I can't remember if it was with you guys or with somebody else, but you just say there's zero tolerance. And it doesn't matter if there's intent or not. You're out of the game for then. It can be evaluated after the fact, but there's just, remember how we used to have 5-yard and 15-yard face masks, and it was like, incidental. Then it was just, it's 15 yards.
Because someone's going to get hurt.
But that's what we got to do.
I mean, at least go to like a college-style targeting review. At least let the referee
where
be
you
like,
can
okay, this
review
play
it.
had contact to the head. Let's
same thing with a flagrant,
look
like
at
a
it.
flagrant, when there's a flagrant foul.
The whole reason is they don't want to add any more reviews.
Well,
they don't want to take
that
any more
ship is
time.
already sailing.
Well, no, I understand that. I'm just
They
telling you
added
that's what
pass
their
interference
but that's
reviews.
what their arguments.
When
gonna be.
they're scraping the guy off the turf with a shovel, they have plenty of time to review what just happened.
Yeah,
McDermott.
exactly.
when they're strapping him to the stretcher, that's plenty of time for the referee to take a look.
And as much as people don't want so many instant replays taking over and slowing down the pace of the game, that is one thing that college has right, is reviewing hits like that. It's an automatic flag. It's an automatic ejection, which triggers a review, and it can be picked. The penalty can be picked up and overturned.
And I went to a Division III game on Saturday down in Alfred, and there was a player ejected, and they don't have the benefit of immediate replay, but what they do, the officials at halftime review it and say, we will, they review it, and then at the start of the third quarter, came out and said, number 5's after review, number 5's there was the correct call for targeting. He will remain ejected for the game.
So you're saying that Alfred State University is more dynamic?
Alfred. Please don't get those two mixed up.
Okay,
we don't want the Aggie school mixed up with.
Yeah. So, but what you're saying is a Division III school seems to have this figured out better than the NFL.
They at least review it with the best of their abilities, and we're talking about. Other than the EPL, the richest league in the world, and they can't figure out how to be able to get a review.
And the other part of this is who threw the hit. I don't even know his name.
Vinoy?
He's
Allen?
No, it wasn't.
Von Allen.
Wasn't
What's his
Vanoy.
name with the safety.
Davis.
He celebrated.
Yeah.
He legitimately, like,
The
his teammates
NFL
coming over.
used it as the thumbnail for the Bills Patriots highlights.
Amazing.
The NFL doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's a big play. They're going to say that it was, Allen's running with his head down, which he was, kind of leading.
But he
into
was
the-
also
He's
being
also
pulled
wrapped
down.
He was also
wrapped up. That's part of this.
But
And they said
People say-
Davis
in
is
in the
like
grand scheme of
5'9".
people, the NFL
bitching-
doesn't care that this happened.
People bitching that he didn't slide.
And
like,
He was wrapped up. He was
How's
wrapped up
he
going
supposed
down
to
to the
slide?
ground. Like he was going down.
correct.
You also don't get hit in the head underneath the face mask coming straight on at somebody. You have to come up and through them.
The worst thing
and
about
what's
it,
crazy is this bozo, if you watch him, he clenches his fist and he squats down.
Yeah,
And then you see him like leading with the crown of his helmet. What?
And he explodes back up.
There was nothing leading with the arms or the hands to like wrap. It was, you watch him literally like clench his fist and squat like he's, cocking a gun. And then he comes forward. I don't know.
This is going to be Schrodinger's tackle, because depending on which side you read, there's a lot of people on the internet who think that Allen instigated contact. There's a lot of people that think that the defensive player instigated
I don't know how you
contact.
can see it the other way, honestly.
I don't know. I think we're always going to see what we want to see with it.
But
What'd you think of Brady's comments today?
It's not entirely wrong.
I didn't see him because I didn't listen or watch anything.
he was very correct.
He was on his weekly hit on I think it's WEI in Boston, and he said that when
after he got
right
popped
after-
by Nate Clements on the sideline.
one of the hits that we replay constantly, after that, the next day, Belichick said, "You got to not." I'm paraphrasing. He basically said, "You
want a
can't be
career in this
running
league?"
that much if you want a career."
Yeah, if you want a career in this league, you got to avoid hits like that.
And he's not wrong, because you look down at Carolina right now, and you've got a not old quarterback in Cam Newton, who is way too young to be looking as old as Roethlisberger.
I think it's the second Allen took off, I knew he was going to do that, because it was a big third down play, and I saw he had one thing on his mind, and I saw two guys like he's going to get crushed, and then he got crushed. It was Josh Allen playing hero ball,
Right.
which
Now-
is what got him hurt.
I was worried he was going to fumble. I didn't think he was going to get broken.
Well, so that play, maybe he doesn't get hit in the head. Maybe you hope that the guy doesn't hit him in the head. He just hits him in the shoulder. He could easily break his arm, or he could.
Collarbone,
The point is, he's putting himself in a dangerous position, and he's doing it for the sake of trying to make a play. But you can't argue that he wasn't he knew that he's like, I'm just going to take this hit to make this play. With two guys, he's got a guy wrapping him up. He's leaning his head forward, trying to get an extra inch. And he cannot make that kind of decision.
And we go back to can you coach that out? I don't know if you can coach that out of a guy.
No,
You probably can't coach that out of
He's
him.
a baller.
No, and that's also a kind of a natural position to take as you're trying to protect the ball, is to bring yourself in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Allen was,
And he's
one,
going-
being pulled down, two, bringing himself into a natural position to protect the ball, and three, being pulled down.
And he's
Far
running
down.
into a safety. He's got 60 pounds on. He's going to try to bowl him over. Anybody would in that situation probably try to bowl him over. Matt Barkley probably dives there. But someone as big as Josh Allen, it's not going to slide there.
But yeah,
I think it's still just ridiculous that the penalty got canceled out by a holding call. It's a personal foul hit to the head. Well, it's a holding call. So it's offset. That's the most ridiculous rule I've
You know
ever
what?
in my
The 5-yard
entire
penalty.
life.
You know what the NFL should do? Get rid of this ridiculous bullshit about a 5 and a 15-yard penalty offset. If you want to do anything like that, offset the yardage. So if you got a 5 and a 15-yard penalty, it goes 10 yards. It goes 10 yards.
It's a personal foul. It still should have been an automatic first down, in my opinion, at the very least.
That will be something they have to figure out, but that also means that defensive pass interference can't be a spot foul anymore.
It's a big third down play. I'm not saying it's why we lost the game. It's a big third down play. We're driving in their zone, and that should have been a first down penalty and 15 yards.
And you broke the Bills quarterback.
Which puts you in field goal range.
Maybe Dawkins shouldn't have held that guy. That way, Allen would just got sacked.
That's a great point, Jeff. Maybe Dawkins should not hold people.
Unrelated. I mean, Allen's running for his life all day because the offensive line is terrible, and he can't make good throws. It was a long series of terrible offense that led up to his decision. The only thing I can do right now is run left and just take this hit. I'm sure he's not thinking that he's going to get hit in the head and be cold on the ground for 30 seconds. But he knows what he's doing at that moment.
And people are out there already trying to, are trying to scapegoat everything else that's not Josh Allen or the offense. It's the clock management. It's coaching staff. It's Brian Dable.
Oh, the hate
And
for
it's
Dable gets me pissed.
And it's the special teams because they didn't notice one guy uncovered on the kick on the punt.
Okay, let's talk about let's put that one to bed. I don't really care if they don't notice one guy that's open, a gunner open, that's not being covered. Chances are you look at that during practice and you try to see, okay, what do you have in your bag of tricks for fake punts? Any runs, any passes? They probably don't have anybody in the punt personnel that they have confidence in throwing the ball downfield.
Bojorquez can barely kick a ball.
I say Bojorquez can only kick a ball 21 yards. How far do we want him to throw it?
he looked okay at the beginning of the season, but that was not his best.
I mean, it was a guy who looked like he was lucky to make the regular season roster after his preseason.
But then he was fine.
Yeah, he was completely fine.
I haven't thought about him until today.
2 punts in a row. Saran Neal caught at the 5.
Yeah,
he buried him twice.
Yeah.
But then
obviously was not
21
great
yard
yesterday,
punt.
but that doesn't necessarily take away from the previous 12.
I don't even blame him on the block. I don't. It's not on him.
The snap was
he
too
got
low.
it off as fast as possible.
Yeah. There
can't bounce the snap.
And Pat DeMarco had 2 guys coming and just decided to take neither.
Yeah,
No, he got one.
barely.
You gotta,
Do I block one of these
tap the
guys,
one guy on
both,
the
or
shoulder,
neither?
said, "You're it."
Shit.
made a business decision.
Yeah.
And you got legitimately the best special teamer probably in the NFL is on that end too, in Matthew Slater. The Patriots, who have a guy who literally only plays special teams, doesn't play offense, doesn't play defense, only plays special teams, is involved in that play.
Might wanna
That's
watch
another
out for him.
reason why they are a little bit ahead of the curve in how a lot of things should work and will work in the NFL.
Yep. Cutting edge.
I mean, if that snap gets to Bojorquez, that kick gets off clean.
Yeah.
And you can't move. And you can't move the protector in front of Bojorquez over because he's on Bojorquez's right. You can't move him over to the left with a left-footed punter, or else he'll get the ball kicked right into his ass.
And Belichick, who had a left-footed punter for 10 plus years, knew exactly where to blitz that guy that they couldn't put the protector over there.
So Tennessee next week, huh?
I'm not
that's
worried.
the plan.
Can I be not worried? Is that okay?
No, I think it's very
fine.
reasonable to be not worried.
Hey, can I talk?
Even if Matt Barkley plays, I'm not worried.
Hey, I want to talk about somebody who I think needs to see the ball a little bit more in that Tennessee game.
Zay Jones.
No,
Oh, sorry.
That's not.
no, he needs to see the unemployment.
I would
line.
like him to actually see the ball.
Open your eyes.
Like,
Zay.
actually
your
look
eyes.
for the ball. But
Yeah.
sorry, Mike.
I think what the Bills need to work on getting Dawson Knox the ball more.
Yeah, that was a great grab. Yeah.
I mean, between the jet sweep last week and then that grab yesterday where he's falling, I mean, he is showing he can make some plays, and he's pretty athletic guy. So I'm thinking he needs to get the ball more in any situation they can get it to him.
You can't be surprised when he make a play. How many touchdowns did he have in college again? Oh, that's right, none, 0. So never mind. I'm not mocking him. I'm just saying, like, this is out of nowhere. Sorry,
No, that's fine.
That was a bad attempt at a joke.
Well,
I'm sorry.
he was a late round pick for a reason. I don't know. This could be found money, and the Bills have a. I mean, seriously, Pete Metzelaar is his last great tight end.
Maybe Reamersma. You can.
Reamersma had a couple decent
the Campbell
years.
clutch.
But I mean, it's been a long time, and it has not been. And we were talking about when they signed Charles Clay. I was really optimistic that the tight end would
Clay
become a
should have
weapon,
been.
and it never did.
Should have been, but materialized into nothing.
Well, it never ended up happening. But yes, I agree that Knox is a guy, and maybe Barkley is the type of quarterback. You got tight ends can be that safety valve sometimes, and you assume that they're going to be wanting to perhaps do a little bit more maximum protection next week, keeping Barkley up. You may keep 6 or 7 back just because of, as we were talking about, Justin, how you were saying, this offensive line lends itself to Josh Allen's strengths because he can improvise and run around there a little bit more when the line breaks down, whereas that's not always the case with a guy like Matt Barkley. He's not known for his agility. But, yeah, Knox would be a great guy to see.
Does Beasley take the tight end's market share? Because as soon as you said that a lot of quarterbacks will lean on their tight end as a safety blanket, that's right. But with Beasley kind of being that guy, like Beasley's the hot read on probably 90% of plays. I don't know enough about offense. I might have just stuck my foot in my mouth. But do you think that that's part of the reason?
Well, your slaughter tight end will usually be your hot read.
Right.
I mean,
but my point is with Beasley being so good at what he does, is that taking market share from the tight end position?
It could be slightly, but I also think that you can utilize both, and you don't necessarily need to, one doesn't have to be exclusive. They can play on the field at the same time still. You can send them in different directions, or they're going to be doing different things. And Knox is much bigger than Cole Beasley is. Beasley probably is I would trust Beasley's hands a little bit more at this point, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't think that they necessarily are cannibalizing each other.
I think it's just Knox getting more used to the speed of the NFL game, where he's got a guy like Beasley who's a very good, crisp route runner and seems to have built a little more of an early season rapport with Allen than Knox has. But I think Knox has come around very nicely, and for a tight end that, as you mentioned, Steve, had 0 touchdowns in college, he has shown some big playability. He's made a couple really nice snags, has his first pro touchdown. He is coming along quickly to the point that, man, Tyler Kroft is playing himself out of big-time shares by just not being able to get healthy, because at the rate that Knox is going,
he's got to be the number 2 tight end.
He's the number 2 tight end.
Mm-hmm. Which he wasn't.
Kroft is a better
which he wasn't. Which he wasn't Cincy, and he would vulture some touchdowns sometimes. Kroft would, but yeah.
I guess the good thing with Kroft is that he is a good blocking tight end. So even if you're using Knox more as a route runner in a lot of situations, Kroft is not incapable of being on the field if he's not being used as the primary receiving tight end, which would be nice, because then you eliminate one of the guys who took 4 penalties yesterday. You don't have to put Lee Smith out there to block, because you can use Tyler Kroft.
Kroft's also really good he hurt his right ankle the first time, so he just decided to hurt his left ankle the next. So he's really good at distributing
good
injuries.
Weight distribution.
Yeah, right. It's clutch for him to not hurt.
Can't lean too much on one side.
Can't hurt the same ankle twice.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place.
Just such a smart player.
They cannot arrest a husband and wife for the same crime.
Such a smart player, Tyler Kroft.
It's just good science.
We digressed.
So,
Really
so you get back to your original point there, Steve. I'm not worried about the Titans at all. I think that Marcus, by the way, last week was the first time that both Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston had won a game on the same week since December of 2017.
Really?
They have both been
bad teams.
Bad. Mm-hmm. And they were up last week and both played. I mean, Winston, I think Tampa putting 55 on the Rams is going to be should be a big talking point in the NFL this week.
Biggest surprise of the score of the season, no doubt.
That score was 21-0 at the half and finished 55-40.
Yeah. Jared Goff, not good. Very aggressively, not good yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But like Tennessee, their defense is fine. Their offense is It's a Tennessee Titans offense.
Are the Titans the most nondescript team in the NFL?
They should be 8-8, 16th in offense and 17th in defense.
They just feel perpetually somewhere in the middle of everything.
That is the definition of mediocrity, isn't it?
But I think that the Bills' defense is incredibly capable of shutting down this. I mean, the only reason they got off to that big start yesterday and really petered out in the end against Atlanta was the passing game. But I think Trey White could easily handle a guy like A.J. Brown or Corey Davis, whatever side you put him on. Secondary looked great. There is not really... I mean, Derrick Henry has been okay, but I trust the front seven to handle them, and I am not particularly worried about Tennessee. I will be pretty worried if the Bills can't handle Tennessee, because that's one of those teams that you figure is there's maybe 4 teams that are competing for 2 wild cards at this point. You got the Bills, you got the Titans, you've got whatever the Ravens or the Browns is kind of petering out, and then you got the Chargers.
Well, and
so you have to be better than at least 2 of those teams.
Sure, and I think at this point you could argue the entire AFC South. Everybody's 2-2. I don't know how that's going to split out, but they all got to play each other still, and it doesn't feel like there's no superlative team. Like, it would totally not shock me if every one of those teams finishes between 6-10 and 9-7.
Sure. I guess so. Pick the Titans or whatever of these second.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the second best AFC South team is. It could be the Titans. It could
going
be
into the
Jags
year,
for all
The
I know.
Texans win the division at 7-9.
Right. I mean,
Not
going
possible.
into the year, I thought the Titans were the worst team in that division. But are they? I don't know, because again, that changes on a week-to-week basis.
And then Luck retires, and you think the Colts aren't going to be good, and guess again, they might be. Hilton didn't play on Sunday, so
we'll see what happens of it. But overall, I mean, we can make some predictions here real quick and then get to some Sabres talk. I think that, this is a game that they need to win. I do think that they find a way. I think it's really ugly. I'm going to say let's go in reverse. I think the Bills are going to win this one 16-10. I mean, I think it's a low-scoring game. Pound that under. I don't even know what it is at this point, but I can guarantee you it is. If it's touching 40, it's too high.
I think Matt Barker gets his offense consistent finally. I gotta play the narrative, man.
You love the narrative, man.
Yeah, so I think
Roll with it, Daddy.
I think the Bills gonna win this one 31-13.
Wow. Just blow it up.
I would feel pretty good about that. That would make me feel really good going into that Week 6 bye week. I still don't think this offense touches 30 points at this point, unless I see some drastic changes here, even with Singletary back. I do still think the Bills will win. I agree the Bills will win, but I've got it solid 20-14.
I mean, they did make Brady look like an ass. He was floating passes all day because, they get up and block. The defense gets up and block passes. I don't think Mariota is anything near Brady. I think the defense is going to come through and dominate again, and I'm thinking there's going to be a defense. I think the Bills' defense is going to score a touchdown, 20-13 Bills.
Yeah, low scoring game, guys.
I think a bunch of field goals are going to come into play. I think the Bills might kick 3 or 4 field goals.
Jeez.
So give me I'll take 3 field goals for 9, 2 touchdowns, so 23. Give me 23-17. I think that the defense is going to have maybe a quote unquote off week for them, just because they've been so good. It feels like at some point they might break a little bit, but yeah, I do think the Bills go down there. And Matt Barkley, I think, plays for a bevy of reasons, and I think he plays well enough.
My thing, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just don't think there's going to be a quarterback controversy at the end of this or anything.
My thing is this offense has been just a few plays away and a few Josh Allen mistakes. If you're just putting these games away, put them to bed early. The offense isn't far off. I think they just need a more consistent passer. And I think that's what they're going to get out of Matt Barkley. I'm not trying to dog Josh Allen. I just think Barkley's a better pure passer than Allen, and that's what the offense needs right now.
I mean, they did play themselves out of a minimum of attempts at 9 points. Minimum 3 field goal attempts played themselves out of.
Yeah, by the 2 sacks and going for it on the 4th down.
Well, going for the fourth down and goal, they kind of felt like they had to, being down by 6 instead of being down by 3 because of not being able to get field goals earlier.
One game, they take that field.
I mean,
Sure,
Yeah,
if
they definitely do.
If Hausch doesn't miss the kick in the first half, then it is a 3-point game, and everything's different.
Barkley may even actually play better in this O-line because they're not very good at pass protection. He maybe gets the ball faster.
Well, I
I
do
don't know.
think
I didn't
part
see
of
that on Sunday.
Part of the issue, I think, with Allen, and this is, I don't know that I watch enough All 22 to really convince anyone of this.
Do you watch any All 22?
I watch a little bit.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I dabble.
All right, well, you're
I try to be
ahead
an
of me
informed
then.
member of this podcast.
He dabbles.
Thank you. We need one of you.
I believe that Josh Allen doesn't do a great job of diagnosing blitzes and coverages at the line. And I think a lot of the issues
That's
that he
his
has
biggest
yesterday
problem.
is not identifying rushers. And I think that doesn't help an offensive line. I don't think the offensive line played well yesterday, but I do think that Barkley maybe does, as a veteran quarterback who's seen a lot, maybe will do a better job of noticing where blitzes are coming from. They probably will see more blitzes this upcoming Sunday against Tennessee than they saw from the Patriots. But I felt like Belichick has a lot of guys who are all around 6'2", 250. They play outside linebacker, they play DN, they play both. Guys like Winovich and Van Noy who can play both.
And they switched to a 3-4 this
Yep.
year as well.
And they'll play all over the field. and I don't think they were always identifying where that pressure was coming from. I think that started them a little bit in the hole before any of this even happened, which led to a little bit more of the scrambling. So I would not be surprised if maybe Barkley does a little bit better of a job helping the line out in that regard.
Real quick, the betting trends right now. Game opened at 38, and the Titans favored by 1. That has ticked up a little bit. Titans are now favored by 3, and the over-under is at 38.5. That is the lowest game by a full field goal. Now it's 2.5 points. The Bears at Raiders opened at 41.
Give me that under at the Bears-Raiders game aggressively. That game might be 6-3 in London. Different time zones.
Perfect.
The Bears with Chase Daniel.
Cheerio.
Man, oh man.
What was the
God
verdict?
bless everyone who's waking up early Sunday to watch that game.
What was the verdict on Trubisky? I promise you I did not plug into any sports talk today. So
No surgery, partially torn labrum.
And now we get to the point of the show where Justin gets to talk about the Sabres offensive line.
Yeah, I got a tweet loaded up here, guys. John
Here we
Vogel,
go.
formerly of the Buffalo News, now the Athletic, tweeted this today. I will just read this verbatim. So the Sabres' potential opening night lineup based on recent practices. And he then lists the lines. Olofsson, Eichel, Reinhardt.
fine.
Skinner, Johansson, Sabatka.
Who?
Vesey, Middlestat, Sheary, Gergensons, Rodriguez, Oposo, with Larson as the extra. And then the defense is Dahlin and Miller, McCabe and Ristolainen, Scandella and Yoki Haru, and then Gilmore as the extra, of course, with the injuries to Pilot and Bogosian.
It's like they're purposely trying
And
to make the
Montour.
last 3
And
lines
Montour.
not good. I don't know. I don't get it.
Imagine going out in the offseason and signing Jeff Skinner to the contract that you signed him to, and then being like, you know what the best way to utilize this guy is?
Opposite
Let's immediately
Vlad
play him with
Sabatka.
Sabatka. That'll be a
There-
great way to use our salary cap.
There better be something going on there that we don't know about, where those two have some sort of exceptional chemistry, where Sabatka is showing up and actually doing something.
Ralph Kruger.
You know what
fixes
pisses me off too
everything.
was a great line. What was the game before Pittsburgh?
Columbus.
So great line in Columbus was they played really well together. It was Middlestat centering Okposo and Vesey. They had 4 or 5 possessions in the zone, but they're just working Columbus. They had no chance. And then the next day in practice, they're broken up. Like this is back to what Halsey was doing.
Or
I
what
don't-
Bilesman was doing.
The more
Well,
things change, the more they
At
stay the
least
same.
if I can just defend it, at least it's in the preseason, not.
I understand it, but it's like, why not keep them together? Why not let them build chemistry? Why break them up? Why put Okposo with Jurgensons and whoever the fuck else he's with?
Hold on, I forgot.
Erod.
Why put anyone with Gary?
Like I got really mad when they sent down Cousins. I don't know why I got so mad about it. I get it. He's a numbers victim, and it's a contract thing mostly too, because it puts him in better control. But I just got really angry. Like, what is this thing? Like, I'm sick of this team. Like, they're just going to ice another half of an NHL roster while Eichel gets another year older. I'm getting really tired of it. Like, Tage Thompson now played half the guys in the roster right now. So did Curtis Lazar. Those guys aren't on the team.
Yeah,
but
Tage-
Tage makes sense to me, too, because if he's playing, he's going to play bottom, like a 4th-line role, which he shouldn't.
I don't know. I could easily see Tage Thompson being the opening night second line center on this
He
team.
should be, or at least
He
on
looks-
the fucking wing, but not Sabatka.
I mean, he looked much bigger, stronger, and more prepared this preseason than he did last year. He looked like he really took a lot of his struggles last year to heart. Now, preseason versus regular season, very small sample size. But he looks like he's much more ready to be an NHL player right now than he did at any point last season. And I don't know, like, you could tell me that second line is Johansson on the wing, which he's capable of playing. With Skinner and Thompson, that feels a lot better.
I think
I would have no problem with that.
I think part of the frustration, Justin, with Cousins going down is who's still here. Like, if Cousins is going down because they have a plethora
Yeah.
of top 9 talent, and it's like, let's let this kid marinate a little bit, but you're sending Tage Thompson to the AHL and Cousins back to Lethbridge, and you have Sabatka, Larson, and Gergensons all on this team.
He was creating so many opportunities, for himself and his teammates, and it's like you're gonna get rid of this guy who's actually generating offense, which the team doesn't have outside of Eichel.
Also,
Like,
if you're interested in going back to the archives, you can find the chance we had to interview Dylan Cousins, coach at Lethbridge earlier this offseason. Current coach. Yeah, that's right. He's back there again. Who talked about a lot of things. We got really excited for Cousins, and I think a lot of it was very valid because for a guy that had a thumb injury and had surgery, and I think expectations were pretty minimal for him in the preseason, he was pretty impressive in the chances that he got. So I am excited to see him in the future. I kind of like. I get them not wanting down, but I was really hoping he would get his 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious to see what he would look like.
What did they have to lose?
And you know what? I understand signing either Larson or Gergensen at the time they did, because I don't think they had all the signings they had at that time. But I didn't understand both, and now it's making even less and less sense that they signed either of them.
You know, yeah, I know. I'm saying all over the offseason when everyone's getting mad about the lack of roster surgery, and I was the guy here in the podcast like, guys, take it easy because it's not about this year, it's about next year. And then here I am getting angry about it, you know, as the season gets closer.
When were you the one that was doing that?
In the offseason. You know what I mean? I can go back and fucking find them, Bill.
Okay.
I'll go back and find them just for you tomorrow.
You were definitely the guy recently saying they haven't made any changes. This team sucks.
We were all bitching about the fans going off about rosters. They're going to flip this roster overnight. And we're like, guys, that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
I can find these episodes.
All right. Well, we'll find those in the archives.
But like, so I was getting all angry again, and then I went to look at the Spot Track roster, and they have 8 guys on the contract next year. So kind of like, this could be a whole different team almost next season, probably.
Yeah. Oh, it is. There are 9 guys and 15 free agents, 10 of which are unrestricted. I mean, yeah, no, they're going to be blowing up. And the wholesale changes that I think we kind of thought would be coming this year, actually, I think are going to be coming next year.
Which is wise, right? It's the right thing.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
trying to dump all these contracts and bury money. You just kind of...
And looking at this, Sabaka is going to be gone. Gergensen's, Larson's both should be gone.
What does Sabaka... All right, legitimate question, not a troll. What does Sabaka have to do to have a satisfying season for you?
Do something.
I mean, the bar's pretty low for my behalf. I mean, he was statistically one of the worst players in the NHL
I
last
understand.
year.
If he gets to 35 points, is that a win?
If he gets to 35 points and is defensively capable, I would be pretty happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's got to it hinges at him being defensively capable, which he wasn't last
Yeah,
year.
like
Right.
I don't care if like he could have 15 points and play third line wing, but be like a penalty killer and defensively capable, and I would still
Sure.
consider that a win for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of player Larson is, and people have a problem with that.
Well, yeah, the line to complain about Johan Larsson is long and wraps around the building. It is slightly shorter though than the line to complain about Vlad Sabatka. So I'm sure he and Zemgus are both very happy that Sabatka's drawing second line pairings in the preseason
Right.
practices
So
because it makes his life easier.
Sabaka's also never had 35
I was going
points
to say,
in the
I
NHL.
apologize for 25 points.
Yeah, 35 points.
25
Great.
points would have been it would have been, his last 2 years in full seasons in St. Louis. He had 33 and 31.
In 2011, he had 112 shots on goal in 70 games and 5 goals.
Is that good?
Shooting at 0.8%
Yikes.
for the year.
So he's not a
Yikes.
great player. We don't see any real value in him. I don't know what coaches keep seeing in him. They see something. They like something about
I
him.
don't know.
I don't know either. Clearly something. He's a practice player. He must be just fucking Rob Blake out there in practice. I don't know.
So, no, even look at
The
the one.
Nathan Peterman of the NHL.
The trade they brought in
Truly.
too. VC is also a 1-year guy and a 1-year UFA contract. They just want a 1-year prove it guy, see what they can do.
He's gonna prove everyone wrong and then go sign back in New York.
I can't wait to boo him every time he touches the puck this year. Just be vicious with it.
Like, I'd be curious what they're going to do next year. They're going to bring up all the young guys. Like, I'm not confident that they're going to be good next year looking at this.
I mean, I guess if there is an upside to having so many guys, you're not tied down to anyone. It gives you flexibility to bring back who you want to. It gets you out with some salary cap hell. But I mean, if Jimmy Vesey comes out and is a 20-goal guy this year, I'm sure they'll try to bring him back. Just because they're not tied to him if he turns out to be completely terrible. But I don't hate the concept of not having a lot of these mid-level guys tied up in long-term deals. A lot of these guys are entirely replaceable.
Well, and the bonuses with him is he does get along with Jack. Granted, they didn't do shit the first time, but that does play a role. Like the fact that him and Eichel are friends and like train together in the off season, that means something. So if he's good, maybe he'll stay.
I think recently my whole opinion on Erod has changed a lot. Like, he tries hard. You don't never question his effort, but it's like he's on this team for every 10 games. Like, oh gosh, Erod played really good tonight. He's so good. He's kind of like a tweener in the NFL, in my opinion. Like, you don't know if he's a cornerback or safety. Like, what does he do? Like, is he a fourth liner or is he a third liner?
He's a
like,
he's a hipsters fan.
like he doesn't score a lot of goals to be a third liner. He's not very great defensively, but he's also not like a fourth line player either. Like, I don't know. Like, he's not a terrible player, but like, what does he do? What's his actual role? Like,
Well, you can be a good
What
player
do
and
you
not
think
really
you do
fit.
here?
I think he's just big. I think he's one of the team's biggest handcuffs right now. Like, where do you
Well,
put
you,
him?
well, you can be a good player and not really fit anywhere.
Right. The other possibility is you just have a great utility player. You
Right.
know, that's the other possibility.
But a great utility
jack
player
of all
like Erod
trades.
is really good on a Stanley Cup contender. Like, which is, I don't know.
Which is what the Sabres are because Ralph Kruger fixes everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ralph Kruger is soccer Ted Nolan.
Erod is the kind of guy that you want as your 10th forward. You don't want him to be your 8th forward or 6th forward. The problem is that there's not 9 forwards better than him. If there were 9 forwards better than him, you would look at Erod and be like, man, I'm so happy we have this guy. The problem is that you need him to do more than he's capable of, even though he's really good at a specific place in the NHL. He's the kind of guy that you sign to be your 3rd or 4th center when your top 2 centers are Crosby and Malkin or Taves and whoever else in Chicago. But I do think he's an important player. I think he's good. I think he's got a role on this team, and hopefully they find enough players to work around him that he can be who he is. Because I do think he brings something to the team.
Super cliche. If the guy could finish, it would be like he could finish. He's a 20-goal scorer. He had the breakaway in the preseason, shot it wide, turned into a goal anyway because Reinhardt found Olofsson out front. But if he finished, he'd be a 20-goal scorer. I think perennially. Like he can skate and he can set things up.
You have to wonder if like Kruger's just going to give Sabaka this stint on the if he actually is going to be in the top 6. Just give him a stint to see if he can do it because he complained about it in the papers this offseason. Like, has he earned it? Should he be there, or is Kruger just giving it to him because he says this is what he can do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I talked to you about it the other day at work, Jeff. You said something that made a lot of sense. I forget what it was now. I don't know.
For such a good point, he can't remember it.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Where do you guys work? Kidding. We have to see and have to assume that what we see on the ice is not what they see in practice, which is the hardest thing. But there was no universal over the course of training camp. Nothing has been more universal than what are we doing with Vladimir Sabaka? Why are we doing this to ourselves? I don't have any good answers. I'm hoping it works out. I don't know if it will. It probably won't, but I have to hope.
The other day, Kruger said he's very smart away from the puck. Well, good. Keep him as far away from as fucking possible.
Justin and I were talking on Saturday. I said, put him in the press box. That way he could play really smart hockey away from the puck.
So is he even smarter when he's at home during the game?
He is truly the world's smartest man. So the Sabres start at Pittsburgh, home against New Jersey, and then we will be recording, presumably when their game at Columbus wraps up. Two teams they're familiar with. They've seen a lot of Pittsburgh and Columbus in the preseason. So
smoke Pittsburgh.
Nothing.
Well, they smoked the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Penguins.
No, if you looked at the roster on Saturday, it was not. Malkin played, Crosby played, Duman played.
Well, Crosby got hurt.
Murray
think
played.
About the first game.
Yeah. That last game, Buffalo was playing the Rochester lineup, and Pittsburgh was playing their for all intents and purposes.
Take out the first line. I'm not convinced the Rochester lineup isn't better than the bottom 2 lines of the Sabres right now.
You know what? Okay, we don't need that negativity in our life.
Jeffrey.
I'm just saying I'd rather see Thompson and Asplund out there than Okposo and Gergensons.
Who wouldn't?
Apparently, the Buffalo Sabres organization.
Rochester looks stacked this year.
They don't understand the mindset of Jason
And once
Botterill.
UPL comes back?
I don't get it. I'm so frustrated. And it's like, I was saying, is he on a hot seat this year? Like, is this a make or break a season for him?
I don't
Because
think
if it is, even then I'll be pissed off. Because like at one point, what do you let a GM have a vision and complete a vision? Like you just keep pressing the reset button. And the NHL, you need so much more time to get because your drafting guy is not going to see for 4 or 5 years on the road. You know what I mean? They got to let these GMs have a vision and actually give it time to be put in place. You know, he's still working with half of a lot of GMTM players here.
Well, and that part of it is just, I think it is just erasing that entire legacy. They want nothing to do with anything that Tim Murray did. Just the same, Murray didn't want anything to do with the previous regime.
Who has Botterill brought in? He brought in Skinner,
Sheary,
Johansson, Sheary, Sabaka, VC. Still Erod, Gerges,
Miller,
Larson,
Montour,
Wilson,
Yoki Haru,
Risto, Bogo.
Hutton was his.
Mm-hmm. So a lot, there were bigger. The team looked more different from 17 to 18 than they do this season, for sure, at the start. But I do think that as much as this, look, we don't think this season's going to be very good, right? Can we get that out here?
I don't think so.
I don't think this is a playoff team. I think the road to the playoffs is the toughest division is in the Atlantic because you have Toronto, you have Boston, you have Tampa. I think they take the top 3 spots. I think you're already playing for a wild card in most cases. And, if you're in the Metro, you can at least kind of fantasize about the idea of getting there because I don't think there's really
Columbus, a shell of who they once were.
Right. But you do get to play Ottawa and Detroit a bunch of times in this division, but I don't know who the standout team. It probably is Washington. Probably just running it back one more time. I don't know. I mean, as much hype as the Rangers are getting, I don't know if they're a playoff team this year.
Same thing with the Devils. They're so young. They got better with Subban and with Hughes but is that all going to be ready to come
Taylor
together?
Hall going to be playing on this team after the trade deadline?
I think if they're a good team, yes. If not, then there's no way.
So there's you have a really difficult road. You have to basically play for 2 spots, and you got to be better than a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I don't think Botterill is going to get fired until he gets his way next offseason with the way that this roster is currently set up. He's going to get to sink or swim, and I think he gets one more year. So any of the calls that you're going to hear during the season for Botterill to be fired, I think they're going to fall on deaf ears.
Very similar to the Bills. McDermott and Bean come in, they make the playoffs their first year. The second year, they're still kind of scrapping the old and bringing in the new, and they, 6-10, right? Is that what they did last year? Mm-hmm. And now this year, when it matters, they look okay. Even if they don't make the playoffs, these guys are probably safe, unless they go 3-13 or something.
And the turnaround time in the NHL is much longer than the NFL too. Think you're drafting in the NFL.
I was going to disagree with that.
Oh, I think the NFL turnaround time is much quicker.
I look at Colorado. I mean, you have teams that compete for cups 1 year after they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, if you're doing
I don't know.
a full rebuild like the Buffalo Bills essentially were, which is you need a franchise quarterback and basically every important piece. How many guys are left from the pre-Brandon Bean and Sean McDermott era? There's basically none. It's Jerry Hughes and
Shaq Lawson.
And Lawson is not even one of their main guys, although he has been pretty good this year. In the NHL, you're drafting a guy like Dylan Cousins, who's a 17, 18-year-old kid who you're
not even going to play.
Yeah, he's not even going to play here for this year and maybe next year. And the guys who you draft who are actually NHL ready right away are so few and far between. That's why it's a big deal. You would get a guy like Connor McDavid. There are so many more players. I think the NHL turnaround time, when you're scrapping it and starting brand new, getting new stars in, I mean, think of just the physical readiness of a guy like Ed Oliver, who's your first-round pick this year, comes in and is immediately a starter versus a guy like Sam Reinhart. It's apples and oranges, and part of it's because of how the system works and what age these guys are coming into the teams. But there seems to be, Colorado just kind of had the right guys in place and then got rid of Matt Duchene. It took Toronto a long time. It's taken the Coyotes my entire lifetime. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, it does take a while, and we'll see what it is. But Justin, overall, what are you thinking roughly points-wise? What is this team looking at this year?
86.
Yeah, I was going to say somewhere in the mid-80s.
They gotta be good from the. If they want to be good, they be smart about it. They can be good from the back end. Their defense is good. Offensively, fairly decent. They gotta be good from the back end forward. But even then, I think they still lack a lot of the skilled players to make that work. In my opinion,
I just want to silence they made no moves because I listed 6 guys who are new from last year, and I included Olofsson and Montour. And you can yell at me about that, but Montour was here for a month. Olofsson was here for a week.
Yeah,
they didn't.
Yeah.
So when you include Montour and Olofsson,
they were basically being kept for the next season.
now have Miller, you have Yoki Haru, so 3 new defensemen. And then you have Olofsson, Johansson, and Vesey. Arguably, all 3 are going to be top 6 guys. Whether they should or shouldn't be is up for debate.
I think I'm sorry, Steve.
If you brought in 3 top 6 guys and 3 new defenders, that is not the same team as you put out last year.
I think it just feels very negligible. I think you're right. When you look at it, they did bring in guys, but then they still brought back the guys that they brought back, and that's where it kind of is just the same team as last year. I think it's easy to forget when you're looking at guys like Larsons and Gergensons and
what was the glaring issue last year? What was the worst part of this team?
Top 6
forward depth.
Yeah,
and you think Johansson and Vesey is going to fix that?
And I was going to say
had 35 points last year.
I was going to say the defense was pretty bad, and you now have a 50% of your defense core, and important players are new. They didn't just go out and get bottom 6 guys. They didn't sign Ron Hainsey. They went out and got Colin Miller and Yoki Haru is 22 years old.
Callum Miller's
And they did it
analytically
via
good
trades too. But
analytically great team.
Yeah, but part of the reason there's a lot of the guys that you want them to get aren't going to go to free agency.
Yeah.
So you have to make these trades. You have to find a way where the team that's trading you the asset doesn't think that the asset is worth it, whether it's a contractor, they think that they have, in the case of the Blackhawks, they have a logjam at defense. So you need to pick your spots with it. Those guys they're not available. And that
Or
is
if you're
the
Carolina
risk.
and you think you really need Cliff Poo.
Right. Hey, they made it to the conference finals. The part of the issue for me too is I don't know, it's real tough to build teams in almost any sport through free agency because there's a reason those guys get to free agency.
I mean, the Sabres free agency has been their worst part of the rebuild.
You overpay for a player that
You overpay for Opposo, you overpay for Molson, and I mean, everything good this team has done has been draft and trade.
Yeah, all the best players are.
They must not really want to trade Risto at all because they're asking a ton for him, and he obviously doesn't want to be here. And it's not there wasn't a market for him because there were, I think, 5 or 6 right D-men traded this offseason.
I just think that Botterill's like, okay, you don't want to be here, but you're ours, and you're pretty good, and we'll trade you if we get a ransom. If not, then you're going to play for us. And, and maybe, winning cures some things for Risto, and I don't know.
I mean, you're taking a gamble on having a high price on him that he comes out and plays well this year and either decides that he wants to be here in a new system or that he plays to the level that your asking price is at, and then you unload him at the deadline if he doesn't want to be here or you don't want him here. It's a gamble because if he comes out and he stinks up the joint for 60 games or however long before the trade deadline, you can't hold that price anymore because no one's going to pay it if you really want him gone.
Like I said,
but I do think their mentality is they want him here. If someone had given them what they wanted, they would have moved on. But with all the defensive injuries, maybe not the worst thing still happening.
They're getting a non-first round pick and a B- prospect for him. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to end up happening. Look at that dog, adorable.
And that's not worth it to them right now, so they're just going to keep holding on until something changes.
Right, and
the bird in the hands we're two in the bush.
I mean, he's got 3 more years. Like, I don't know what It
at
sucks.
$5 million a year, not
At
like
$5 million a year, yeah.
I just think it's convenient for just to get to call VC and Johansson top 6 forwards when they're probably really not top 6 forwards.
Everyone's a top 6 forward when you play them. And Vladimir Sabaka, as of today,
Not
top
trying
6
to
forward.
I'm just like that's one thing I just disagree with you on, Steve. I don't think they're like.
Well, I said it can be debated whether they should be or not, but they're going to be.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I'll continue to pound the drum on Jimmy Vesey. 18 goals put him third on this team last year. Like, Skinner and Eichel were the only players that scored more than 18 goals last year. So you bring him onto this team, he should be a top 6 forward if that's going to be the contributions he's going to provide. And if this team added 2 18-goal scorers to the roster in Johansson and VC, they are markedly better than they were last year.
And he can
because
be a
they couldn't do
20-plus
it
goal
last year.
scorer if he's put in the right position.
Sure.
But so far, I mean, it's hard to. He can't even save it.
And if any team, you ask any team in the NHL, hey, would you like to add 2 15 to 20 goal scorers to your roster this year? I don't care if it's the Stanley Cup winning St. Louis Blues or the Arizona Coyotes. They're going to be like, yep. And if the Sabres did that, I don't know.
I like him as like quality, third line guys. They're perfect third line guys that can play the third line role and generate points for you. But like they're still missing like those quality, and it's gonna be they're hard to come by because they got to come by trade, like you guys are saying. But they're missing those top 6 skill players. That's what they really really need. And Connor Sheary and Jimmy Vesey and Johansson just are gonna cut it. That's what they're lacking the most.
So are you thinking 5 or 6 years for Sabaka next season?
It's gonna get a 3-year.
He's signing a
6 by
5-year
6?
He's signing a 5-year deal in the cage.
Do the one more than Molson? Make it symbolic?
We can send him out to Ontario, California with him.
That's right. Go Rain.
I mean, Mike Harrington on Twitter the other day was arguing that no one's ever been cut or restructured when they had over $5 million salary cap, which is good because I really thought that Matt Molson was making more than that. But good for Mike Harrington on the Twitter.com, not doing any research at all before blindly blocking people and getting mad about
Always
it.
one of the best.
Singer.
Respect it.
Oh, man. Truly one
Shout
of the
out to friend of the
Buffalo
podcast,
guys.
Tim Graham, who has had multiple fights on Twitter with Mike Harrington. Big
Former
ups.
coworkers.
Former coworkers, those two. Oh, man. So, I mean, I'm excited for hockey to start, but it really, I'm much more excited about the Bills than I am about the Sabres this year. That's the first time it's been true for me in a long time. But I feel much better about the Bills' chances to make something happen this year than I do about the Sabres. And seeing Vladimir Sabatka on the second line only further enforces that for me.
And shit, they could come out and just be better, just playing simpler hockey.
They could.
They
absolutely could.
They could come to make us eat our words.
I mean, you have a true bona fide star as your captain and a young center, Jack Eichel. You have talented players on the roster. It's just... If enough things go right, if Reinhart and Olofsson could be a revelation. He looked great in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Justin, I know you've been banging that drum for a long time, but Olofsson could be a great guy to have alongside Eichel.
What happens if Luukkonen is healthy and comes into the Pike and is just unreal?
I mean, goaltending is so unpredictable as is. Anything like that is possible.
Right.
A hot goal. I mean, think of Jordan Binnington.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Binnington was a guy who
They tried to relegate to the East Coast Hockey League, and he
refused to go to
so
the ECHL.
they sent him to San Antonio and kept his affiliation.
And even
Bananas.
then, it took so many injuries. I mean, goaltending is, unless you have Henrik Lundqvist or Carey Price, and even then sometimes.
Yep.
Goaltending is so random that either it could be Hutton, it could be Allmark, it could be UPL, it could be any of these guys could just catch fire, and all of a sudden you find yourself with a few extra games that you weren't planning on, and it's a playoff season versus a season that you finished 7th in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We really can't say anything until we see what they actually put out there on the ice when the season actually starts.
Right.
We're basing this off of what we saw mostly in training camp, which could be just to see what they can pull out of each guy, see who can play with skilled players, see who can't. Like, they might not even ice this.
Right.
They had like 16 forwards, and they had to put guys with somebody. I don't know. These might not. There is potential in this lineup, but what Volker put on here isn't it.
Tomorrow there could be a trade. Your final roster.
Yeah.
You don't have to be under the cap until 5 p.m. Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
this could be. You never know what kind of trades could be coming before or after. We saw today. I think it was Bob McKenzie talking about a lot of times players will get waived and then traded because when a team wants a player, like say someone wants Josh Hosang, they can't afford to bring him on from waivers because that's claiming a contract without deleting one, and you're only allowed 50 contracts. So if there's a team out there, if the Arizona Coyotes really want Josh Hosang, once he clears waivers, they can trade for him to the Islanders and give up a contract and get a contract. You know what I mean? Rather than, so the reality is there could be a lot of moving pieces between now as we record at 11 p.m. on Monday and 5 p.m. Tuesday.
I mean, the NHL is always a league, a much more like baseball and hockey, the two leagues where you have that many moving pieces. Football, you're not really going to see a lot of guys unless there's significant injuries, but there could be a lot that goes on this week. I mean, Josh Hosang is certainly an interesting name. Wouldn't hate that, honestly.
Nope.
Why not? I would rather give him a shot versus Gergensons for 15 games.
You can't possibly think they're going to put Skinner with Johansson and Zabaka. Like, this guy just scored 40 goals.
I have watched
I mean,
Buffalo
you can make
Sabres
this on
hockey.
you can put Eichel centering Skinner and VC. It's a really good first line. Then you put Middlestat centering Reinhart and Olofsson. It's a solid second line.
Sign me up.
And then you can get Johansson centering Sheary and Rodriguez. That's a quality third line. And then you got Larson, Poso, and Gergensons, which is
A fourth line. By definition.
That's a good defensive fourth line, in my opinion. And
You almost had a good fourth line. I was going to stop you there. My bullshit meter was
off the
blinking.
charts. Steve was chomping at the bit to get in on that one.
When you said a good defensive line, I bit my tongue. But when you were going to say a good fourth line, I was like,
I actually really like the first line with Olofsson and Reinhart. I don't hate the concept of splitting up Eichel and Skinner, trying to get keystone players on both lines, but it should be VC or literally anyone not named Sabatka.
The buzz
as that other player on
the buzzword around the Jets right now is drive a line because of Line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Line complaining he's not playing with the big guys, and I was listening to some hockey talk this week, and they were asking, can Line drive a line by himself? He's not being paid like a guy that can. If a guy can drive a line, he makes a lot more than $6 million a year. So with the Sabres, can Skinner drive a line? Maybe, but I'm a little bit jaded towards it because of how good Eichel and Skinner were together last year. And if you slot Skinner on the top line with Eichel and Olofsson and then try to have Reinhart drive a line, because can Reinhart drive a line? He's done it when Eichel's been hurt.
I think Reinhart could drive a Middlestat Olofsson line. Just feed Olofsson.
Sure.
Like, guys,
fine by me.
The guy's fine spots shoot from and rips it from anywhere. That guy can score from anywhere on the ice.
Yep.
He doesn't need Eichel. He'd be more effective with Eichel probably, but you can also make him effective with other guys.
100%.
So my issue is only just trying to saddle Johansson and Skinner with Sabatka. It can be, I don't care if it's VC or Erod or pick your player as that third player on the line. Play middle stat there.
Jeff is so hung up on this, and I'm not blaming you.
No, I
don't blame you one bit.
It is a glaring mistake as far as, and of course they could come out to practice tomorrow. This is just a prospective lineup by a very knowledgeable reporter.
Yeah, we'll probably know obviously morning skate Thursday, but we might even know by Wednesday if they're taking line rushes on Wednesday before they could fly out to Pittsburgh or something.
When's your next practice? Is it tomorrow?
I don't know.
You'll know by the next practice. They're doing line rushes. They're going to prepare them all week long.
Sure.
You'll know by the very next practice.
Now that they've made the final cuts and everything, yeah, that sounds about right. But
I am excited that by the time we come in and record here next week, we'll have actual, real NHL hockey to talk about.
3 games worth.
Bananas.
3 games worth. Because we've been talking so much. I mean, how much of this offseason do we spend waiting for them to do something? And we literally ended like 4 consecutive shows with me yelling at them to do something, and then nothing happened.
They did. They put
Do something.
Sabaka on the second line.
They sure did.
And they took Skinner off of Eichel, who must be thrilled signing that long-term contract.
But now that we've
having
got
their sugar
you
daddy
signed here for the rest of your life, I would like to inform you you're playing with Vlad Sabatka.
How's
Not
your
what you
Russian?
thought you were getting. Yeah,
Effective immediately, I'm announcing my retirement from the NHL.
He's going to go Vontae Davis in the first intermission
Dustin
locker room in
Byfuglien.
Columbus.
Oh, God, the cap recapture. I don't even want to think about it.
Would not be great.
No. All right.
Anything else to tack on here at the end, guys?
MLB playoffs, go Yankees.
Fuck it. I don't care about baseball anymore. It's a sad sport.
Fuck the Yankees.
You guys sound salty.
Yeah. No, I'm just sad.
I'm not really a baseball fan. I just don't like the
There's
Yankees.
nothing against the Yankees. I'm just sad.
You can have everything against the Yankees. I don't care.
That's fine.
All right.
Well, cool.
Sorry, I don't
I'm glad
care
no one
that
had
most
anything
of
else.
your
It's fine.
27
You can
rings are
find this
rusted in...
podcast and so many others worse than it on wherever your favorite podcasts are found, including but not limited to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are on Facebook at 716 Sports Podcast, on Twitter at 716 Sports Podcast. Probably cool broadcast news coming throughout the month here as we continue on for the hockey season, and we'll be back here with you next Monday to recap Bills Titans and the first 3 Sabres games. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Sabaka!